Welcome to a new episode of the Advancing Consciousness series with Franco Di Nicola. This is a place where people can come to gain further insight and clarity as to what is going on and how we can shift things on a personal and global level, while also accessing higher levels of consciousness and awareness. We bring this series to you free of charge so that many are able to access this information. However, if you resonate with what Franco shares and you would like to support his work, contributions are welcomed and greatly appreciated. A link is in the description and will be provided in the chat if you feel guided to do so. Also, we have many previous workshops, such as a couple of our most recent, Maneuvering with Neutrality and Alignment during this next wave of unfoldments, and Deprogram Clearing Empowerment Workshop. You could also join us in our membership program, Let's Talk About You, where like-minded people come together bi-weekly to talk about the topics requiring deeper understanding and clarity. All of these are available on Teachable, and we encourage you to check them out as they are great resources at very affordable prices to assist in better understanding this human experience. The Teachable link will also be provided in the chat and description. And lastly, don't forget to share. As the more of us coming together and creating a shift in oneself, the more effective it'll be to shift things globally. Thank you for joining us and being part of the change. Enjoy today's broadcast.
So welcome everybody to another episode of Advancing Consciousness series. And today we're looking at episode 76. And of course, like every episode, we kind of build around whatever is most needed, most influential, helpful through this journey that we're on. And many of us are starting to realize that this journey is quite interesting. It's quite interesting in many, many ways. So I hope you guys are all having a blast and having fun with every aspect of this beautiful experience that we're having and how things are unfolding. And I know there's a lot of conversation about, a lot of the craziness that's going on, but the craziness doesn't even stop at just what's playing out in the earthscape. A lot of people are feeling quite off at times within themselves. And we all are, including myself. I do feel at times some of the stuff that's going on, it does accentuate certain experiences and so forth. But right now, it's more getting to the deeper part of ourselves. Not even so much the programs, because that is coming up naturally at this point, but it's also getting to a deeper understanding, a deeper accessing of yourself, your true essence, your pure essence, your source essence that has come here to play and to have an experience, while utilizing pure love. That is the very foundation, and it helps so tremendously when we're playing with that. And it's so important right now to just keep reminding ourselves that we are here to play. We're here to have a blast with every part of it. This is an exciting place to be, an exciting playground. You've prepared yourself to be here right now. Up to this point in time, everything from birth till now, all of those steps, all of those beautiful preparations, all of the things that unfolded along the way, the ups and downs and all the very intense emotional charges and sensorials and so forth, having the polarity game and everything else, all leading to you now. And what are you doing? You really unwrapping yourself. You're unpacking who you truly are. And because you're unpacking it, you're also much more powerfully, skilled, more enlightened because of it, because of all of the experiences you had led up to this point in time. It doesn't matter how bleak it may look, how dark it may look, how chaotic it may look, how polarized it may look. All of it is just there beautifully to be reshaped, and we are already in action in doing so. But it also applies directly to us first and foremost, and that is very, very important for every step along the way. As beautiful as this dance is, without you, we cannot do it. Without you as being the key, one of the keys, one of the pieces of this beautiful recreation, redesigning, unfolding part, that's who you are. You're a piece of it. You're part of it. We are doing this together. And it doesn't matter where on the scale you are at this point in time, because some people are active, other people are not, other people are on the fence still. And when I say on the fence, they're just playing both sides. It's not that they haven't decided. I mean, there's always openings to decide later on whatever it wants to involve. But at the same time, all of it is involved. It doesn't matter if they're in the most sleep state, unconscious state, the most polarized, the most negative side. They're still part of this beautiful dance that's unfolding right now. Of course, there's services and so forth that are going to shift as we go along, because that polarity is no longer required, even though right now it's still serving us, because that's the thing that we're seem to be using as an instrument to kind of unravel ourselves and open ourselves more powerfully. So you've heard me say so many times that we are running through programs and so forth, but right now it's the discovery part of ourselves. And not only that, is also to get more of our beautiful X-ray vision of sorts. I'm just going to use that as a word, to be able to see things, because things are becoming more transparent. You get to see things a little more deeper of whatever's playing out without having that really deep unconscious state that we had before. So you're becoming more conscious, more aware of how things are playing out. Of course, if we still have programs, we're going to jump into polarity, right, wrong, good, bad, victim, victimizer, and all of that stuff. But this is the thing. We don't need to give power to that any longer. And we've already decided that that was not going to be how we're going to use it. But we're still, in transition, and that's the part that we're going to look at. So anyways, today we're going to be looking at freeing yourself to move forward. And that's a pretty powerful thing, freeing ourselves. How many of us have felt all tied down, wrapped up, and feeling that in one way or another that moving forward has been heavy, difficult, and in some cases you feel trapped. Many have felt that way. Trapped not only because of your current circumstances and how things are unfolding, all the entanglements of who you're involved with, what you're not involved with, what obligations you made, what connections you have, but also in the communities and throughout the world of all the oppositions, all the restrictions, all of the so-called limits that have been applied throughout this whole journey. So yes, it may feel that you're not free, that somehow you did not sign up for this, or in some way or another feeling that, hey, I feel like taking a huge leap, but I'm not able to because of all these restraints. And the thing is to understand that the restraints are illusionary, and the thing is, as long as we play in it, of course it's going to hold us back. And this is kind of the thing we're starting to realize more and more powerfully, because we are one of the main projectors that are changing our reality. Our immediate reality is all ours, and it doesn't matter who's involved, who's playing whatever role, you're the one. Once you realize it, once you feel it, once you activate that part of you more clearly, then you will see everybody will dance accordingly to a level that you are conscious of, rather than playing it all out on a super conscious level. Everybody's in our lives, everybody's playing different roles. Every location that we're in, whatever we're involved with, is still perfectly staged to provide you either the self-discovery, which is almost automatic all the time, and also to be able to unravel and clear out all of those restraints that we've put into our lives, all of the things that we've labeled, defined ourselves, and categorized ourselves to be. So all of that is happening right now. All of you are doing this in a very powerful way. Yes, the energies coming in are intense. Yes, we're getting one after the other. Yes, there's openings, there's upgrades, there's physical upgrades, emotional upgrades, our communication upgrades within ourselves, with others. There is also our physicality is going through a lot of transitions going on there. Even the rewiring of our mind, the retuning of our chakras while it's still, beneficial. The opening up and clearing out some of the DNA so that they are starting to filter in. Each of these things coming into play right now is all influencing you. All beneficial, of course, but it's influencing you. And the thing is, many of us are not used to living with those streams coming in, so it may feel awkward. It may feel difficult to to really get a good grasp of it, because you're kind of learning how to navigate with these higher energies, these adjustments in your body, your adjustment in your mindset, and so forth. And the thing is too, whenever we're going through a rewiring, we're actually, requiring to us to dissolve a lot of the old patterns and old ways of doing things. It also creates an adjustment that is required for us in what we ingest, what we expose ourselves, where we put our focus in, and so forth, and to be able to connect with ourselves more powerfully. And that is something many people are not used to. And so it may feel weird, it may feel strange, it may feel in some way that some days you may be losing it. Some days you'll find that you're going to have multiple layers unfolding for you as you're going through the journey of your life. But to realize that all of this is all part and parcel of it, you are still, from a superconscious level and with the involvement to a conscious level, navigating through all of this. It's not happening outside of you. You're in agreement, and you're the one that's actually raising the volume or the throttle, pushing the throttle to move it quicker or to slow it down. We're going to be perpetually moving no matter what. We're the ones that either slow it down or speed it up. But of course, we're getting a lot of push behind us, meaning all aspects of ourselves are saying, hey, let's keep it going. Let's not sit back and admire here. We're going to enjoy the journey as we're going. So this is all the stuff that's going on. So you're up to date right now. So anyways, anybody that's new, please subscribe, share, comment as you wish. The more you do so, doesn't matter what platform you're on. If you're on Facebook, on YouTube, you can use the notification bell and so forth. We've heard that not everybody gets notifications. It's something we can't do anything about. We're not creating anything of that nature that's stopping that. But again, the platforms seem to be going through their little thing, and they seem to be very cautious about what's going on. So as things change. But anyway, stay tuned, because we do this on a regular basis and so forth. So if all of it resonates and you want to share it, please share it with many other people. All this content is to trigger your memory. It's kind of a team effort, because what's happening is that when we are connecting this way and we're reminding ourselves and we see other people engaging on all of this, and then you have more people around you, then it actually creates a support mechanism. This is kind of a support mechanism for you, so that you don't feel alone. You don't feel that anything that you're doing is kind of isolated. Yes, it may seem like, depending on where we're playing, but it is worldwide. All right, so let's get to play. Okay. All right. So we were talking about freeing yourself to move forward. And then, of course, we're going to do the questions afterwards. Kimberly had a message for the question department there that she wanted to share. So I'll let her take it away.
Unfortunately, I lost the questions. My computer's very old, and I think when it was going through a crazy thing, I might have accidentally deleted the one sheet I had all my... I do have some that people have sent in to me from info, but the ones that I was copying and pasting from the chat are missing in action. Sorry about that, folks, but I mean, so just resend them in. Again, though, too, we want to keep the questions kind of current to what we're going through now, so that we can answer them all, because otherwise, if it's like such a big, broad spectrum of topics, then it might be hard for us to get to all of them in a timely way. So we're going to try and keep them to current, what we need to know now that's going to be beneficially.
Yeah, there's so many levels of curiosities we can play with. We want to know a lot of different things and so forth. And, we'll touch upon those things time to time, but really, we'd like to stay focused on what really is something concrete that we could use right now, instead of just the curiosity thing. I mean, we'll entertain some of the curiosity things sometimes if it's close to alignment. But the thing is, we don't want to create distractions. We want to stay focused, because right now we're going through some pretty powerful changes, and there's more coming forth. with not only these energies, Gaia's bursts of energies that we're going through, some of the other things they're preparing, and for us to get a good understanding, good support mechanism, and to get a deeper a way of engaging with all of this is where we'd like to stay on track. Okay, so great. So freeing yourself to move forward. I mean, look at it this way. If you free yourself from all your entanglements, you free yourself from your stuck state, even your dependency on addictions and so forth, the movement forward makes ease. If we're not attached to circumstances, attached to people, attached to certain modalities, it allows us to move freely much more. However, that doesn't mean that you got to dump everything. It means that you untangle yourself. You allow whatever you're playing with to be part of your experience, but it's not going to govern you. And this is the thing. That's the important part. Now, there's going to be times that those entanglements will require, closing off certain chapters, moving forward, or letting certain people go. But most of the times, the relationships and anything else that we have are more of a mental entanglement and an idea that it has to be one way or another, and that restricts us. We've all been conditioned. Please understand, we've all been conditioned and programmed to follow a certain program, agenda, an acceptance, which is based on gender, it's based on culture, it's based on the times, but it's also based on anything that we've learned from the people we engaged with from birth till now, from the educational system, from the media, and any other exposures that we've had. All of it was there to condition us. So we've adopted those conditions to certain degrees, and a lot of us are unraveling from those conditions right now. And that's the part that we're talking about, the freedom. So you may be in a relationship and you're still involved in some of the conditioning that we have. The viewpoint of that relationship is going to be based on the programs, based on the patterns, based on the viewpoint that was conditioned for you. Same thing with work, same thing with family, same thing with everything else that's playing out in our life. So it's really instrumental to look at what our programmed conditions are, because once we drop that, we actually free ourselves to be able to see it more clearly. So it's not like you're having veils in front of your eyes that are going to be tainting so that you're going to see everything a certain way. And that will elaborate, but it involves even further how we go through it. So what does it mean to free ourselves and to move forward? I mean, that's a big question. What does that mean? Well, I've just started to explain all of that. Is freeing ourselves from what we have adopted as a way of life, what we are holding on to, what dependency we have. Because many of us have dependency on what the world is providing us, dependency on what other people do or don't do, what our community and so forth, a dependency on a stability that we've carried for many years. But you notice that the stability is not there and all of that. So if we're going to look at the world and see what's playing out right now from a large perspective, the brighter viewpoint, you're going to see the old world. You're going to see that inverted world. You're going to see the inverted 3D, 2D, 1D depth of playing in that game. So you're going to see all of that. But the thing is, you got to see beyond that. You need to now be the part of the projection that you're going to see. That way, you're not going to get taken by the waves. And there's a bit of time that you require to recondition yourself. And when I say recondition, you're unconditioning yourself. So the fact is, the reliance and attachments to what other people are saying or what is being displayed at this point in time, to really navigate, if you can move forward, do this, do that, to untangle from that. Yes, it may not be representative right away, but as you do so, as you untangle yourself from that, you will notice that the screen around you starts to shape, but you're also looking at a different viewpoint and you don't feel as restricted, and as you go along, you free yourself even further. So the thing is to move forward. What does that mean? Moving forward from where you've been up to this point in time. We went through a sequence of time for 10,000 years to be able to play that inverted game and so forth. Now, of course, not all of us have been here for 10,000 years, because some of us are newbies, especially when it comes to the multidimensional soul. You could have been involved in other times. But at the same time, when you're talking about the human entity, that has been here 15,000 years. Yes, your body has been here with Gaia and everything else, which is also a sentient being. So that part of it. But what we're looking at right now, as we're going through all of this, as we have that history and so forth, we're also noticing to move forward from what we've taken on as a block of time of 10,000 years and say, okay, we're moving out of that. We're moving out of that inverted world, which, the transmissional part is gone, meaning it's not being reinforced, but we are all reinforcing it, because all of us have been pattern conditioned, and we're putting reliance on the old systems that are still up, even though they're crumbling, even though they're becoming more transparent, even they're becoming more unstable, and it's showing more and more. The old world is still reflected. So if you're looking at the movies, you're looking at all of the stuff that was created in that inverted world, it's going to still reflect that. So we believe that it's still active, that that's the way of life, and then of course we're projecting it. So that's what the inverted matrix, even though it's gone, that inverted world where everything is upside down, where right and wrong, good and bad, all of it is in reverse. So what is real is made false, what's false is made real. There's a lot of applied implications and applied ideas of what things are, but it has no reflection, direct reflection to exactly how things actually work. You were going to say something? Go ahead.
Someone was just asking where you use the number 15,000 years ago. Where do you get that number from?
Well, we had a hat, didn't we? And all those numbers were in there, and we just picked it. Okay, so planet Earth, like every other planet, every so often gets retooled. And I know I've talked about this many times in other episodes and workshops and so forth. Every so often that the planets get retooled. So the last time after Atlantis was done, okay, and that transformation gone in, so it was retooled. Planet Earth was retooled. Now, use some of the basic fundamentals that were there. A new matrix was designed. It was reseeded, and the seeding was also modified. When I'm saying seeding, I'm talking about plants, animals, birds, and oceanics, and so forth, and insects, and reptiles, you name it. Birds, you name it. All of it was seeded, including any form of plant life that was connected to Gaia to match the frequency that Gaia was going to emit. Okay, and then new humans were created, or new physicalities were created, which is the current physicalities that we have. So the planet was retooled. Again, prior to that, it was the playground for the Atlanteans. Before that, it was the Lemurians. Before that, it's been many different civilizations. Planet Earth has been a platform and playground for many different expressions of ourselves, not in human form. Because there were giants, there were smaller people, there were just animal kingdoms at one point. There was all different types of use that planet Earth. And every planet goes through that period of time. Now, the retooling was part of the experience that was required at that time, saying, okay, planet Earth in its position, whatever we like to do, we're going to use it as an experiment to do something really high-tech of sorts. So it was really created, and that was 15,000 years ago. It went for 5,000 years before 10,000 years ago. So 5,000 window, 10,000 years ago, that's when the inverted world was applied, where the programming and everything got put into place, and we started living the reversed world. In that case, the inverted matrix was put in. We went from organic 3D to inverted 3D, and then inverted 2D, and then in some cases 1D. So that's what we mean by that. Okay. So the number, how it came about is that my soul, amongst other engineering souls at that point in time, was involved directly to retool planet Earth. So it actually redesigned the operating system and did something amazing for this particular experience that we're in right now. Okay, I know there's some other time dates put in that, it was 12,500 years or something of that nature when the Atlanteans disappeared and so forth. Those timelines are guessed along the way at this point, but we're looking at what was the actual timeline at that point in time. It actually goes back another 2,500 years before when that cutoff was put in, and then a new playground was established. Okay, so freedom will give us the opportunity to move forward. So how will we benefit? Imagine being free, feeling that, hey, I'm ultimately the creator. Now we are. There's no denying that. We've always been. It's not outside of that. It's not something you have to earn or be qualified for it. You already are. But we haven't experienced it in a sense because we got conditioned that in some way or another we're not free. We got to abide to the systems, and that the systems actually have power, that we are governed by some deity or something of that nature. So imagine coming to the realization, and even what the game is playing out right now, if you're looking at the world with all these restrictions and so forth, I mean, the restrictions are played out so that we actually realize we're in restriction. Because the way it was going before, more and more people, of course, were realizing it, but to really bring it to the max, look at how many people are demonstrating, how many people are that would never have questioned anything are questioning it. These are our brothers, sisters, souls. They are you in different versions of yourselves, in different signatures, having different experiences that have gone really deep in the inverted game, and now they're being pushed to wake up for the ones that are ready to come in. And the waking up is realizing, hey, wait a minute, the game's just a game and we can change the game. We can work together because right now we want to create a game that matches our frequency, matches our level of consciousness. And this is what's happening. We're gaining higher consciousness, more awareness of our sourceness, and upgrading the playground accordingly. So all of this stuff needs to go through transition and dissolution or dissolving or whatever it is, because it's no longer free. So how does it benefit? It opens us up. It opens us in a big way to be able to move more freely, to use what I've talked about before. Instead of just manifesting, we're going into creation. And as I've said before, just as a reminder, manifestation is to take what's already there, the frequencies, the energies, what others have created already as a reality, and say, well, I want to replicate that. So we're going to manifest something of that nature. But the thing is, we're always manifesting. You can't stop manifesting. That is our natural state. But what we're shifting is going into creation. What's the difference? Creation is brand new. You're actually applying the highest level of consciousness, and you're not putting a limit saying, okay, this is possible, that's not possible. In creation, your imagination is open. Now, you may govern a certain level of the imagination's extent because we're also playing with a collective part of it, but at the same time, it's all brand new. This is why the envisioning of the new world, or that world that is unfolding within you, is so instrumental, because now you're accessing that creative ability. The moment you're doing that, you're restructuring the whole, you're actually bringing forth and utilizing the organic matrix, which is basically what is really governing at this point in time. Now, it's one thing to understand that as much as we have an organic matrix, the organic matrix will play out what we want it to play out, where before the inverted matrix only played out the inverted matrix. And no matter how much you put into it, it was very difficult to change any part of it. It was always flipping things upside down. Where that's no longer there, now if we're projecting an upside down world, it's going to show you an upside down world, but the moment you change that, it won't show you that upside down world because it's working with us. And the reason it does that, it gives us time to transition, it gives us time not to be shocked totally, and to be able to be in what we call the empowered state. All right, so that's how we'll benefit. Okay, how impactful will it be for us to maneuver through what is taking place worldwide? If you feel freedom within yourself, then it doesn't matter what's playing out in the world. You're not bound by it. Yes, you may have to, twist and turn around it and play with it, but you feel that, okay, let me use my creative, let me find another way to do this or that or whatever it is. But at the same time, it doesn't impact you the same way. The world can be whatever it is. Yes, there may be certain parts of that collective that may be affecting you in a way or another, but you don't allow it because you're coming to the realization that, okay, that's the game. How do I shape it? Now, for a period of time, you may say, let me play with the game, but you're never bound by the game. You're never bound by whatever rules or whatever inversion that they're still existing. So if you're looking at it, the maneuvering through it, the dance with it is not going to be so entangling. It does not become sticky. You're unstickingifying yourself, if that's a word. Is that a good word? Okay. You're unsticking yourself? Unstickifying yourself from the stickiness, from the, sometimes people call it the ickiness of whatever's playing out in the world. So in essence, it doesn't matter what is being projected and so forth, you maneuver for it. For example, if you offer to take a shot or something of that nature, in that, and it doesn't matter if they say, oh, it's mandatory or you need this or that, you will say, yeah, thank you, but I'm not interested, and you're not going to even entertain it. But not only entertain it, you won't even give it any power, feeling that you're somehow suppressed or somehow you're being disadvantaged because you're not following the wave of what everybody else is choosing to do. At that point, you're in that powered state and say, hey, this is my choice, this is how I do it, it's my life, my direction, and whatever else. So you feel free. So you're not going to get caught up in the heaviness and whatever else is going on, because you're just like a beam of light illuminating wherever you're going through and illuminating every aspect of your experience. So it's so perfect how all of that plays out for you. So the maneuvering when you feel free is much easier. And I'm sure you've all experienced it to one way or another. When you feel that you're not bound to certain things, your choices, the way you see things, what you engage with, and whatever else, how you choose to play any part of it becomes very open. You're not bound by it. You're not restricted by any means at all. So that's how, so worldwide, like somebody said, it's like a shit show. But you're going to see it as a beautiful dance. And you're going to see the beauty of it. And how do I shift it within me, and it becomes a reflection of how it's shifted around in the world, in the playground. So this is the other thing too, our freedom. So no matter what the past or present is currently, so whatever happened in our past and what presently is current, we need to love it to free ourselves. As long as you see right, wrong, good, bad, victim, victimized, all of those things, as long as you see it as something that needs to be healed, as long as you see that you have made mistakes or something of that nature, it actually restricts you. Because if you want to experience the freedom in yourself, no matter what happened in your life, from the moment you were born or even before you left your mom's womb, to this very moment, because anything past this moment back is the past. To be able to look at all of that and completely be in love and awe. So you're going to experience awness, being in awe and in love with your journey, your creation, every stage that's come and gone. You're not going to look at the past and say, this was good, this was bad. This was painful, this destroyed me. Because all of those experiences played out a particular role to make you who you are now, which are part of the completion and part of the dive of understanding and appreciation, because that was the ride. You had always the freedom to choose Otherwise, you may have not been conscious of it, and your ego would have covered it up and made a lot of different stories around it, but you always had the choice. So the thing is, you made no mistakes. So you have to be in a position to truly free yourself, is to be in a state of love for your creation, your journey, for everything that played out. I know it can be tough sometimes because of the fact that we may have some deep emotions, what we can call deep scars, or we can have a lot of polarized preferences that could have been in certain sections say, yeah, that was great, the good old days, I wish it was like that again. But then there may other times they're saying, my goodness, that actually ruined me, or this caused me whatever, and it changed your journey. It's a matter of looking at all of it with these beautiful clear eyes, as a beautiful ride, as part of the journey, and see the perfection in it, and have love. And what love do you have? You have pure love. What is pure love? There's three types of love. There's conditional love, mainly ego-driven. That means you love, hate. It has both. Conditional love. Okay? And that is, you can love somebody, then you can hate it. You can love something, then you can hate it. You can love your job and then hate it. It's all types of things. Because why is it conditional? Because it depends on stories, belief systems, and so forth, and what your interpretation is. So that's the conditional love. Many of us have experienced where you love somebody, then you don't. That's ego love. That is conditional love. Then we have unconditional love that people have talked about for a while. Unconditional love is still kind of somewhat in the category, but now you are not applying conditions to it. So it doesn't matter, you still love it. For example, some people have children or certain people in their lives, parents or whatever, you love them, okay? So yes, you can have children and parents or whatever else or other people in your life, and you can have conditional love for sure, but some do not. They have unconditional love, meaning that you love them no matter what they do, what they say, how they do, whatever it is. That's the next level. But then we're going to what we call pure love, which is source love. Source love, at this point in time, sees everything, no matter what level of polarization, no matter what it is, light, dark, whatever it is, through the eyes of the Creator, the eyes of the essence of all source. And it sees it with great love and appreciation. And that's the love that we look at our history, our past, and our present current moment. Be in love, but not conditional or unconditional. Be in pure love, pure source essence love. When you're in that state, there is no right, wrong, good, bad. There is no polarity. It's just opportunities. It's a play. It's a dance. It's something that is so awesome to experience. And that's what we're looking at right now, is to be able to see things with that level of love. And that level of love is so powerful that looking at anything that may have happened in your life will dissolve it, because it's such a high frequency, that construct would not fit. That construct, it's like having a dark spot and you're now beaming this powerful light there. The darkness is gone. The concept, the idea, the adopted perception and so forth of whatever may have happened, the labels, the definitions, and whatever else that we have applied through our experience currently and in our past will dissolve by seeing it from that state. You were going to say something.
Yes, Olga is asking, is pure love coming first to yourself?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, do you need to feel that for yourself first in order to be able to put it out there? I'm asking this too myself.
No, it's all at the same time. Okay. Because the thing is, you can't have it separate. Now, it's going to be harder to experience that pure love when you have judgment of yourself and you have categorized it. So this is why I'm talking about the past and the present, because that involves you directly. Because you're looking at your life, your journey, to see it with the eyes of pure love. Now, please understand, what we call pure love And we can also say source. Source pure love. That is you. It's not outside of you. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to access it. It is you. Okay? You are pure love because you are pure source. You're a pure creator. You're your own creation. You're the observer of creation. And through that pure love, you chose your journey. But now you're upgrading your journey. See, a lot of people talk about loving yourself more or loving yourself. Well, the thing is, it's not about taking a conscious effort of loving yourself. It is getting rid of the judgments and labels that you've applied to yourself. Once you do that, that love glows. So you have this beautiful beam of light in the center of your heart, in your body, illuminating. But we've put in layers and layers and layers and layers so that we can't actually see it. It's there. It didn't disappear. But the thing is, it's not emanating to your body because we have all these judgments, all these labels, all these definitions that we applied about ourselves. I'm not good enough. I failed. I did this. I did that. I'm horrible. I don't like myself because I didn't do this, or I don't look a certain way. All of this stuff. This is the thing. So yes, where does this pure love come from? You. You are it. So when you are taking that stuff out, of course you could see it much more clearly and you're able to express and experience. So the first place you start is with yourself. Look at all of those stories, belief systems and so forth that have kind of covered up that love that you are. That love that you have within yourself. That pure love, that source love. You create from love. It's not outside of you. It cannot be outside of you because it is you. You are source. It's infused throughout you. We just, like I said, we've just put those layers and layers and layers of stuff to cover it up so that we can't actually see it or be able to access it. But it's there. It's always been there and always will be. Now, so yes, instrumentally, of course, first and foremost, you want to allow that light to come through you. That will change a lot of things, even how you feel physically and everything else, and it moves things a lot quicker. So this pure source love that's within you is your very foundation. If you're having a bad day or going through whatever is going on in your life, if you close your eyes and just focus on your breath for a couple of minutes and be able to activate within yourself, so to say, I activate my pure essence, my pure love, and see yourself illuminating. It changes you. It changes you vibrationally. It changes your eyesight in the sense of what you see in the screen. We're talking about besides just the eyesight. It's also referred to as the eyesight. You get to see things very differently, and it rearranges and reconstructs your experience at that moment. Because the thing is, you're the one that's shifting it. It's always been you, right? It looks a lot of times that it's coming from outside of us, but it's not. It's always you. So that is your pure essence. So no matter what the past has been, what the present is currently, we need to love it for it to free. Because the moment you love it, all of it dissolves. All the hurts, all of the emotional charges, all of the stories attached to it, and so forth. Something comes up and it makes you feel bad emotionally. Yes, please acknowledge it, appreciate it, of course, and then love it. Open your heart to it. I love you. I love the experience. I love what we did. I love the interactions. I love the stickiness or whatever else was going on. And guess what? All of it starts to change. All right. So, no matter what your life path, you will need to love your journey. It doesn't matter what path you took. Many of us think that we took one path versus another, and this is why we're not doing exactly what we need to do, or the fact that my life sucks because of that, right? Whatever path you took, okay, it doesn't matter. The path was the perfect choice when you took it. The path can change at any time, and you can change at any time. The only reason you stayed on that path because somehow you were still getting some benefit from it, or the non-realization that you can change the path. Or we made a commitment that we were going to stay in the path, even though the commitment is not rock solid, because it was not meant to be so. So the thing is, you got to love your journey, every part of it, your path, whatever choice you made, what direction, who you engaged with, whatever was playing. So you have to look at the path as what it is, absolute perfection, and be in that state of love. You're not in the wrong place. It doesn't matter how long it took you to get where you are now and how long it's going to take to move forward. You are the one that's in charge. You're the one that's unfolding it. You're the one that's actually allowing these energies coming in and everything else that's coming in and codes and everything else and the bringing back online all of the different components of your experience. You're the one that's doing it. You're the one that's in charge. No one else is outside of you that is in charge of you. It just looks that way, and it's just illusionary in that regards. So no matter your life path, doesn't matter if you went A, B, C, D, E, it doesn't matter. So what you do is you love your journey. You love what brought you here now. It doesn't matter what the path was. You say, well, I wanted to do this instead of that. Great, but that's the choice you made. So be in love with that journey, because I can tell you right now, in 36 years of working with people, every time they got to a state of loving their journey, it changed a lot of different things. And even when we were playing with regressional stuff and went in and made a different choice for them and watched that timeline, how it looked, it always led back to the one that they chose was the best for them, because it provided exactly what they needed. And I've gone through it myself. You know, I had a completely different intent years ago when I was a teenager of where my direction of life was going to go. It was not the journey I took. Absolutely not. However, going that path would have been very different, and the world wasn't even ready for it. So the path that I did take became very enriching, very observant of polarization, very observant of restrictions and so forth, but also learned a tremendous amount by it and be able to be much more powerfully working with all of you, because I'm experientially rich. Yes, it was not the path I chose, and yes, I would have been in a whole different situation at this point in time had I taken another path. But the thing is, you can't feel bad about it, because that was exactly the path. You could say, well, I didn't know better. Well, you did. Even though it looked like you didn't know better, you knew better from a superconscious level. And that was it. That's the beauty of it. Okay. So no matter any or all roles played by others, you need to get to love. It doesn't matter if you had a parent that was abusive or whatever, or friends, or extended families, or partners, or business associations, or groups, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what role anybody played. Okay? Love the role, because you have to understand and remind yourself over and over again, if you do forget, that the fact is the role that they played was exactly the role they needed to play, even though you weren't consciously aware. But if on a super conscious level you said, yes, please play that role for me, because I needed to have an experience that role would provide me, but also give me the opportunity to discover more of that polarity part, but also at the same time to be able to look at certain things that I may have brought along through my lineage, through past lives, through whatever, from a collective perspective, to be able to not only appreciate it, love it, but move through it and actually encode it so that it works very differently. I know sometimes people find it very difficult to be in a state of love for certain individuals or certain things. But the point is, as long as you're not free. You're not free. If you have any resentment to a family member, to someone, or to an organization, to whatever, you're carrying it. You're carrying the energies, it's lowering your vibration, it is sticky, and you're going to find that you're going to drop into more potholes every time it gets triggered. So anybody that says that. So at this point in time, you have to go look at it and go into the acknowledgement, the appreciation, and the love, pure source essence love. When you leave the body and the ego and the subconscious programming is not there, the whole screen looks very different. The game looks very different. Very much so. And I've worked with people that crossed over, and even the ones that have gone and come back. They've seen even the most, what you consider the most asleep and dense people like to call it, meaning that they are not aware. Once they left out of that programming and pattern, the world looked very differently to them. The playground looked very differently. Their opportunities, their potentiality opened up, and looking at it and saying, wow, I'm surprised that I got all entangled with that. And that was my limit. It was never. So this is the thing. But that's looking at it from a glimpse of their pure love source essence. This is how you come here. Every part of you looks at it as an opportunity. Every part of you is looking at this beautiful dance and whatever's going on as an opportunity, as a beautiful opportunity to really advance and flourish. Go ahead.
I just thought maybe we should clarify about looking at people that we're having resentment towards or we're feeling. It's not about looking at them and feeling gushy, lovey-dovey feelings towards them. It's about a neutrality, right? It's not, you don't like, I don't want people to think that they have to, have a loving, it's not like that traditional loving feeling that we associate with pure love or with love, the word love. It's, I feel, well, this is my feeling about it, it's more of a neutrality towards and an acceptance that they're going and doing what they need to do for their journey, and we're neutral and we're okay, and it's not triggering any negative emotion in us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. So
it's not like going out and loving and hugging everybody, because that's hard for people. I'd be like, oh, no way, man.
Well, but the thing is, as long as any of that is still intact, then it becomes a restriction. You can't see them with the broader, because once you see them through love, and you're right, it's not the gushy love, it's like, oh, I love you, whatever it is. That's conditional love, what we call unconditional love. But pure love doesn't do that. Pure love sees the beauty of another aspect of yourself having an experience. And the thing is, you also appreciate that they're on their journey to do what they need to do to really complete the full journey for all of us. But at the same time, any entanglement, any interactions have been a mutual dance, because both parties are assisting themselves to create completions. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so imposed we can have, yes, we can hate a person too and love ourselves inside 100%. But I don't think it's about hate. I don't think we can hate anybody. I think it is a love, an understanding. That's why I feel it's an understanding. Everybody's on their own journey, and that it's a neutral space where you can appreciate that they are actually doing whatever they need to do. I mean, it's not an easy lesson all the time.
I know. Especially
around the people that we love, and they're making decisions, especially right now, that are not in the same alignment as what we would make. So it's a big thing right now that we are all learning to process and to learn to be in alignment with from the highest perspective of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, you can love yourself and say, I'm the greatest, I'm this and that. Again, that's ego version of it, but you just feel that love. But when you're actually experiencing pure love within yourself, everything looks like love. You cannot have hatred, because hatred brings a lower version of yourself into play. Hatred actually lowers your vibration. Not only that, you're creating and supporting separation, because the moment you hate, you're creating separation. Separation is polarization, and that actually keeps you in that inverted world. It keeps you from flourishing. You're not free. As long as you hate anyone or anything, you're not free. You're in jail of sorts. You create a limit, a capacity that restricts you from moving forward. So this is the thing. Yes, it starts with you absolutely being an ultimate source, pure love. But when you see everything in the same eyes, there can't be hatred. There can't be right, wrong, good, bad. You can't see light and dark because you're in a state of neutrality. This is the thing. For you to experience hate, by the way, which is not you, that is based on a program and a story and a pattern. That is ego. Only ego operating system can hate. You can't. Your true essence can't. It's not possible. It's not you. Source does not hate itself. Source plays and experiences multiple facets of self. So it's only when we apply programs, conditioning, stories, or whatever it is, that we can experience hatred. Hatred never existed until that inverted world was put into place, until the artificial intelligence we call the ego was put in place to be able to maintain that inverted world, to maintain that separated world where we experience separation. So this is the thing. So when you dissolve that by being in that state of love in their whatever role they've played, and I'm telling you, some people have had abusers that may have created permanent, or what can look like permanent damage. I'm not talking only emotional, I'm talking more physical too. The moment you can get to that point, and this is the part that we're working on, and love them for that role, you will see that you are not only free yourself, you actually open up the chapter to be able to even reverse part of the experience that you had. Of course, it's going to involve getting to that pure state of love, and in some cases, the condition that you're in is exactly what you need moving forward. As you know, as we're moving forward anyways, that a lot of the aging processes, a lot of the deterioration physically, a lot of the so-called damages that may have put you in a permanent position can be reversed. And that is a little further down the road, but it's already been conditioned and programmed within ourselves, because we're not here to experience a limitation, even though we went down that path for a period of time. Okay, so no matter what role anybody played, as long as you have hate, you're stuck. You're in prison. Okay? And you can't experience this and be in this. Because the moment you're in this does not exist for anyone. You can't categorize it. Pure source love cannot be compartmentalized. You cannot say, I love this person pure and not this person. It's not possible. The moment you access that pure love, it's pure love for everything. It's the way it is. It's just this beam of light. Shadows cannot exist. Shadows of saying, I'm not beaming light here, I'm only beaming light here. It's not possible. Okay. Moving out of victim state by embracing the dance life involving others and choice. So, in fact, the moment you are seeing that someone had any effect on your journey, you're now activating a victim state. Someone making a choice for you, like for example, your parents may have dictated what direction to go in your life. And you accepted it, that was fine. But now you're saying, well, I didn't like that choice because that's not what I wanted to do. Okay? The moment you see that someone else dictated your life, you, at that point, took on the victim state. Saying, I have no say. The moment you think you have no say, you're now being the victim. And that's a cool experience. Nothing wrong with that. But is that where you want to be now? So this is the thing. So you want to look at everything as, okay, they played a role, they assisted me to be where I am now. But I don't need to play the victim because I know I am self-empowered. Yes, I have free will. It's always been and always will be, cannot be removed. Yes, maybe we conditioned ourselves how to use it. we're still sovereign and whatever else, even though the game doesn't reflect that so much, but we still are, okay? So moving out of the victim state by embracing the dance of life involving others and choices. When you embrace it, meaning, thank you, amazingly, I love you, whatever it is, but in your true sense with that pure love, it really, really changes things. So you cannot play with the victim state. It does not have power over you when you're playing with that. When you are seeing it, you're embracing the dance. The dance, the interactions, the beautiful whatever played out for you. And that's what's key. Because the thing is, the moment, look at it this way. If you feel that you're powerless because of the circumstances of the world, about certain leadership, certain dictation of whatever authority or fictional authority is going on, then we're a victim. So you're a victim to laws, victim to rules, victim to other people, victim to this and that. I mean, this is the thing. Victimhood is where you feel powerless, and sometimes it's so comfortable. Ego makes it look so comfortable to be a victim because then you don't have to make a choice, and then you don't have to judge yourself. But when you drop all of that stuff, choices are choices, experiences are experiences, and you're going to see everything as an experience. Like, oh, okay, great, that's what I got out of that one. Let me shift it. You're not going to see it as right, wrong, good, or bad because you're never going to make a wrong mistake. You're always going to make a choice that actually serves you along the way. That's the beauty of it all. So the thing is, if you want to move out of it, embrace appreciating your life and everyone involved. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate the construction, the dance that we've had with each other. Find many, if you have a tough time, how can I say, being in that state of love, start with appreciation, because that's the first. And you can say, well, I can't appreciate it. I can't appreciate this situation with this person, or I can't appreciate the fact that I came through this childhood, or whatever, or these teachers, or whatever. I'm just giving you examples here. When you go and look at it again, and go into appreciation, finding all the things you've experienced from it, and looking at all the beautiful experiences you had that you could not have had without them playing that role, without you being through that life stream, without those choices. If you look at all of it and you appreciate every part of it, it changes. The thing, the view, the label to it, everything starts to change. And then the next part, the natural part that comes in, appreciation is natural too, but then the most powerful part comes in, which is that pure source love. And that's how you experience it. So it starts with appreciation. Appreciating the game, the systems, and the present stage. That's a tough one for people. It's huge. Kimberly, is it huge?
Yes.
The game that exists right now. The systems that are in play, the present stage. Look, I'm looking at the world as chaotic. Listen, let me give you an analogy, an example here. How many people would be interested to play a video game if it was just sensorially, it's just there. There is no opportunity to see how far you can stretch yourself. How you can tap to more of your skill sets, to be able to use that game to become more aware of your skill sets. Look at it this way. If you look at the world right now, you look at the systems, that is there. So now you're saying, I've got to tap into more of my resources, more of my imagination, more of my creativity to move through this. Because if you were already in nirvana, like people call it, Eden, whatever, like people like to put names on it, it wouldn't be as much fun. You probably wouldn't have chose to come here in the first place. Other souls would have, possibly, but chances are you wouldn't have. But you're looking at it and they go, this is cool, look at where we are. Consciousness is filtering through I'm experiencing more love. I see the restrictions. I see all these playmates doing whatever they're doing. I see the rules, the systems, the so-called stuff that's playing out at this point in time, and say, hey, let me see what I can do with this. This will be stretching my imagination, stretching my creativity to be able to dissolve it in no matter how much polarity, how much darkness, how much is playing out, to be more powerful in moving through it. It's amazing what you can do. It is absolutely amazing to play with what's here now, because it pushes you to the point where you get to use more of your skill sets and bring it to light, bring it forth, to be able to blossom more than ever before, because you're now changing something. And of course, after you've gone through this phase, then your creativity is even more extended, and then of course you're going to design every part of it. We have the opportunity to come in and say, okay, you know something? Reset the whole thing. Let's blow out all the polarity, clean out every part of this inverted world. Let's get rid of all the systems and all these role players and everything else and say, okay, we're in nirvana. We're in this beautiful world that is beautifully organic, 5D, and so forth. Yeah, that's a cool experience. But if you tap into yourself, many of you say, no, I want to see what I can do. I want to learn from this. I want to engage in my skill sets. Really bring out of the closet, or what we've stored inside of ourselves, more of my capability. And now, like we said just a few minutes ago, accessing what's inside of you, which is pure source love, when the environment really stimulates the opposite, like the hatred and the playmates involved, wouldn't that be a huge, huge shift to be able to love to that dimension no matter what? Were you going to say something? No. No matter what. So appreciating the game. And it's not about fighting for right, wrong, good, bad, and so on. Good point. How many of us are ready to fight? Fight the system. Fight other people. Set them straight. Shake them up. Rebel. It's not about that. It's about you tapping into you and saying, hey, what is my preference right now for my highest point? Through my eyes of love. I'm not going to see right or wrong, good, bad, but I'm also going to see that I have freedom to navigate consciously. Meaning conscious and superconscious working together, including unconscious, or what we call subconscious. Bringing it all together. So what are you going to do? Do you go and fight? No. You see the game as the game. We're not supporting it. Let's construct something different. We can share it with others, but we're not going to shake them up. We're not going to fight. Now, if you want to make out a point, and look at this, the demonstrations. It's not about rebelling. A lot of people do go with that. But it's about, no, we're uniting aspects of ourselves and making a statement that we are not supporting this. You need to change the systems. We need to dissolve the systems. That's one phase of it. But energetically, as we are aligning to that, that stuff dissolves. It doesn't matter who's playing whatever role in whatever fictional authority they're in, a fictional government structure, fictional system, because all of it is fictional. We made it look real, and of course it looks very real, but at the same time, what we're going there with love, we are choosing to flourish. We are choosing to create an environment that is huge and reflects who we're becoming. We are reflecting who we're becoming more, and that's why these changes are required, because we are no longer supporting it. So it's not about fighting it. It's not about fighting somebody about your rights. You know you have your free will. I choose not to participate. I choose to play this way. When you're in that solid knowing, then the conflicts are not possible. And if it does show up, it only allows you to take a look at it, to play with it. But you can also see how it dissolves, because you're rock solid in your knowing. At that point, nothing has effect over you. So this is the thing. It's not about fighting yourself, or fighting your history, fighting your stories, fighting others, fighting the system, fighting the game of life. It's not about any of that. First, you embrace it all, thank it all, love it with pure love, and just keep creating a new reality. It starts with each one of us. Don't think that all these energies that are coming in, all of this stuff is outside of us. These are us calling it in. We're just reaching other realms within our source field and bringing that in, because we kind of isolated ourselves to be able to experience that lower frequency where we did not recognize that pure, true love, source love that we are. But we're bringing it in. We're the ones that are harnessing. We're the ones that are unpacking this new world, because the new world is already here. You're just unpacking it through you. That's the beauty of it. Okay. Go too fast here. In judgment, you get entangled. With love, you move through things. As long as you judge yourself, you judge others, you get entangled in it. It ties you down. It's like having these straps attached to you. You judge it, and it basically holds you back, entangles you. You can't experience love if you're judging yourself. You can't see love in others when you're judging them. Judging is a perception. It's an idea. You have a condition, and it doesn't meet that condition, so now you have a judgment about it. So basically what you're doing is you get entangled. If you want to move, you move it with love. So you need to dissolve the judgment and see it with love. See it as a beautiful dance. You can choose to forgive. You probably heard that word before. You can choose to forgive, because it loosens you up. But I'm telling you, forgiveness extends the chains. Love dissolves them. Does that make any sense, Kimberly? You can choose to forgive or love. You have both choices. I'll forgive somebody, or I'll love them. If you forgive, if you notice anybody that's on the forgiveness route, you forgive them, you're just extending the chains so that you have more freedom, but you're not totally free. The moment you love, it dissolves them. There's no chains. You're engaged from everybody, disengaged from everybody. You're not tied in. Now you have a preference to play. So you say, forgive me, I forgive you, or whatever. It goes either way. Forgive you or forgive. And then what you're doing is just extending the rope or the chain or whatever it is. But you want to dissolve that chain completely with absolute freedom? Love. Go ahead. You were going to say something?
No, just going to say, yep, that makes total sense. I've always looked at it as an understanding instead of forgiveness. It's like a understanding or an acceptance of what's going on, as opposed to forgiveness, because there's always a reason.
Yes, yes. And that's great, because that's another level of using forgiveness. So the point is, the entanglement or the forgiveness, because most people have adopted the idea of how it's been projected, is that you're letting somebody off the hook for making something wrong, for doing something wrong, okay? Or asking somebody because you did something wrong. But when you see it from pure love essence, there was nothing wrong. They played a role, you played a role, whatever it is, you had an experience, and now it's time to move forward from it, because that experience is no longer there. Even that whole Ho'oponopono changed it, whereas it was, where does it go? Forgive me? No. I'm sorry. I think like that. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I thank you, I love you. That even changed. Now it's just, I thank you, I love you. Why? Because those two no longer fit in. It's no longer about extending the chain, it's about dissolving it. It's not extending your freedom, it's to give you absolute freedom. And that's what you want, absolute freedom. Love is powerful, and love is freeing. This is why I've a lot of the things that I've talked about over the years now, and put more emphasis in the last couple of years, is that when you see any part of your life, any part of your life, anything involving others, anything that you're there, is to acknowledge it, not to deny it, not to have an issue with it. Acknowledge whatever that is, the role that somebody played, your choices that you made, whatever situation. You go into that level of appreciation, you appreciate it, you thank it. You thank because you created it. And I know sometimes people say, well, you miscreated. It's not possible. You create exactly what you need, when you need it, how you need it, to give you whatever was required at that time and nothing more. So when you appreciate the creation, you appreciate the engagement, you appreciate even the stickiness or the polarity, whatever you want to call it, all of the above, it shifts things very differently. You step into more of an empowered state. And in that empowered state, you're no longer seeing you making a mistake. You see the perfection because you appreciate what was there. It doesn't matter how extreme it was, polarized, intensified, traumatic, or whatever. You don't see it that way. When you appreciate all of it, even the role players that may have played the darkest roles, and then you can, after the appreciation, you can open your heart with the love, that pure source love, and you see it for what it is. Again, we came here to play. We're playing with each other. We're having fun with this. That's all. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about, as soon as you blame, you step into being a victim and a slave. That's a loaded one. Did you ever figure that one out? As soon as you blame somebody for your life, you blame somebody for your situation, you blame somebody for your circumstances, you blame someone for doing something of that nature, you're basically going automatically into victim and you become a slave to it. That's a good word, slave. Non-freedom. It's illusionary, of course, but at the same time, I blame my parents. What does it make you? A victim. That means they had power over you, and you didn't end up having your experience. I'm just giving you an example. You blame them, and you're a slave. How do you become a slave? You're a slave to that story, that program, and also the fact that whatever it meant to you. Well, I can't amount to anything. I cannot have the freedom because of this happened to me. And you could be blaming, I'm not even talking about, that's just one example. Parents, friends, educators, the media, the systems, whatever. As long as you're blaming, you're taking the power, you're going into disempowered state, and you're going into victim, and then if the deeper the victim goes in, you become a slave. That means that everything around you drives you. You have no freedom. That's it. That's how it rolls. That's how it works. Okay. Any resentment that you may have about anything or anyone will limit you. You have resentment, it will limit you. Your potentialities will limit you. Your freedom will limit you. The opportunities will limit you. As long as you have resentment, it limits you. You're not free. You're not free as long as there's resentment. Resentment is restriction. Resentment is binding. Keep that in mind. Because once you understand the truth about this, which you already know within yourself, everything is an opportunity to blossom, grow, and unveil the grand self. That's the thing. Everything is an opportunity to have experiences, an opportunity to blossom, grow, and access a pure, grander aspect of yourself. Do you have to go through all those bumps and bruises to achieve that? No, but you also gave yourself the opportunity to have those experiences, to be able to play through all of that stuff. To do what? To discover that, hey, look at what I can create in the polarity world. Listen, keep this in mind. Why did you come here to planet Earth? Okay? Where, yes, there was freedom, yes, there was sovereignty, but there was also polarity. Now, polarity was not at the very beginning, but it has been for 10,000 years. Now, if you didn't want to have this experience, you didn't want to give yourself this opportunity, you wouldn't have chose to come on planet Earth. You would have chose another planet. You would have chose another segment within the galaxy, or another galaxy altogether. A different universe if you chose to do that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist anywhere else, but not to the degree it exists here. Why did you stay in line and say, hey, let me in, I want in? Many of you saw or knew that this was going to go through a transformation, but you knew that you were entering the polarity world, and you knew what was capable of happening in the polarity world, and you wanted to come for the ride. You wanted to be part of it. You wanted to be part of the transition. You wanted to see how you can blossom in this playground. Why do a lot of kids and even adults at this point in time choose difficult games to play, video games? Because it pushes you to the max. It gives you the opportunity to really enhance your skill sets. That's just an example I'm saying. Why do we choose certain partnerships or choose certain physical whatever experiences in the sense of, gymnastics or music or whatever it is, to give ourselves the opportunity to say, what else can I do with this? How far can I expand my skill sets? Because that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to see how far we can go while having opposition, while we had the restriction, while coming into that inverted world. You knew this was an inverted world. Everything was backwards. You knew, but you chose to be here. Did you screw up? No. You just chose a good experience that you couldn't have elsewhere. And that's where we are. Okay. When you love everything, you can move forward and choose freely. When you love every aspect of everything that's around you, you can move forward and have more choices. You choose freely. You're not bound the same way as you were before. Because look at it this way. You say, well, I have the freedom of choice. Yes, absolutely. But as long as you have judgment, resentment, or you have a lot of different things that are playing out within yourself, then the choices are not all that free. You have certain choices you can make and others you can't. If you feel imprisoned, how expansive can you experience yourself? This is all tied in. It's all tied in. So that's the thing. If you love every facet of everything that's there and get excited about it, then you will have much more freedom to create something amazing, beyond amazing. I think that's the last thing. No. So, I think we've covered this already. What love are we referring to? We're referring to source pure love, not the unconditional, not the conditional, not even the ego version of it that actually goes even further, where you can love hate even more powerful. That's unconditional, conditional, but it can go even further. So imagine, somebody being in love, romantically and otherwise. But imagine, you can have that experience, but imagine loving from that true essence of yourself, from that pure sourceness, and seeing another aspect of yourself in someone else, and really playing in that level of freedom. Off the charts. And that's how it works. All right. Okay, that was it. What level were you referring to? I think we've done it all. We're going to exit. We're going to wipe this out, even though I can change the page, but I might as well erase it. So now we're going to play with the Q&A, if we have any.
Oh yeah, of course. It's never issue.
All right, I'm going to sit though.
You sit for this. Yeah, good idea.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to grab the pen if I need it again. So I have my hands free. Okay, let's play with some questions. Let's have some fun. Okay, too late. Done. Next. Go ahead.
Okay, first question. How best to help myself and my son, who announced a few days ago that he is a trans woman. Part of me is accepting his choice and the other part is conflicted and sad. It feels like I'm experiencing a loss. I'm stuck with this new reality. So I listen to your live streams and podcasts, and they bring much clarity and comfort. So,
what was the very first part?
How best to help myself and my son, who announced a few days ago that he's a trans woman.
Oh, okay. Right. All right. Okay. The only reason that you will have some resistance or uncomfortableness is because we've created a perception of what your son represents to you. Meaning that he's this or that, or the fact that, association that he's a reflection of you. And when I say reflection of you, meaning the ego version of it, or the ideal world, saying, okay, I'm the one that should have influenced them differently, or you have a different label of what you expected of your son, or anything of that nature. When we could see it, and this is the thing, is to see it and so the loss, the hurt is going to feel, is only the loss and that you may feel, from your perceptional idea what your son represented to you, okay? And it may represent to others too. When you see it with great appreciation and love that, hey, he's choosing this other experience, that he's unfolding himself to play out a different role. So by saying, okay, great, there is no limits to how we can express ourselves and how we can be packaged, and we could start off with one package and we can go into a different package or alter the package or anything of that nature and say, okay, that's fine. Now, for your son, it's a transitional part for him also to kind of come to this realization and to even say, okay, what value do I put in going one way to the other, right? Because sometimes there's the perception of that one package has more freedom than the other package. But coming to the realization that it doesn't matter what the package looks like, it's all free. Now, how you choose to express it is no different than putting a different garment on. And yes, you could say, well, putting a different garment is more acceptable than, having somebody going through a physical change or a physical representation. So it's really about acknowledging that there are certain categorized patterns of what you expected your son to be or have labeled your son with, and get to the point of acknowledging it, appreciating it, and loving the package, but allow that all to dissolve and just see your son blossoming the way he chooses to blossom and so forth. Now, you can share with them, at this point in time, say, hey, listen, let's take a look at this. What makes you feel different by going down this path? What do you feel? So you're just listening and kind of sharing certain things, but it's not there to change, fix them, or to bring a new light to it. It's just more of helping your son kind of present his reasoning behind it. Sometimes the reasoning may be a conceptual idea of what it represents versus the other. And other times it is from a core essence of saying, hey, I want to have that transition expression on a physical, from gender to something different. So you're going to, but it's really about getting to what I was talking about, is to love the playmates for what they are, and going to that genuine, and looking at any stories and programs and labels that you've put on that my son should be this way or that way, because parents do that a lot times. I've seen it in even minimal stuff. I've seen it where, just as the example I given, where one gender decides to dress. Now, a woman dressing like a boy, you know, it's not as frowned upon as it used to be. But a male dressing as a woman, it's changed too, but there's still more of that. So you could say that part of it. But a lot of times parents have issues where, you know, they expected their child to be a certain profession or career, or to, you know, get in a relationship and have children or something like that, and then they choose something different. Those are different different categories of the same thing, really. So in this case, yeah, it's going to be, and there's parents that have, when their child says, I don't want to live anymore, and they want to commit suicide and so forth. And that's pushing it even further, the whole idea. So it's to love them through the whole thing, but at the same time, you know, maybe play with them without changing their way. Is, let me get an understanding, you know, how you made the choice, or what makes you make the choice. What do you feel, you know, and something like that. And go with that.
Okay, so we'll go with the next question. All right. Since about February this year, I have been working with my future self, working on creating the platform best suited to assist in my community. Well, a huge breakthrough happened about 10 days ago. So now I'm about to take a big leap of faith and begin my next adventure, as I was calling it, in when working with my future self. My question is, should I continue working like that, connecting with future self, or should I work on stepping into the must actualize current version of myself in each present moment and take steps forward from that instead? Which one would you recommend?
Well, the future self is beneficial to be able to see the potential possibilities and so forth, because there's many future selves, depending on how you shape the timeline. But if, you know, once you got a glimpse of it and you get a feel of it, the possibilities and so forth, you want to be here, current, at this point in time, and start shaping it in that direction if it feels totally whole for you, but at the same time to be flexible. So in essence, while you're experiencing all of that, to actually observe any tweaking, because that future self was through certain channels, and you may not be able to replicate it. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't, but at the same time, it's really about the meaning and the value is right here, not the future self. But the future self can be beneficial for you to get a glimpse of it, also see versions of yourself or future selves where certain choices were made, so you can say, okay, well, that's just what's provided. Is that kind of the direction? What does it take for me to go in that direction? Not that you need to replicate it, but at the same time, getting a sampling. So, but it's really about being here, and if you do have the opportunity to check into the future self, you will notice the other thing too is that any changes you make currently right now, the future self may look differently when you go back forward into the future self, because the future self has a dependency on what you are doing currently live now.
Okay, next one. Could you expand on the difference between the old manifestation way and the creator state we are stepping in? I feel I'm not grasping the difference yet, almost, but don't feel confident yet identifying when I'm in one or the other.
Yeah, so that's a good question. When we're talking about manifestation, we're used to that. We manifest. That means we're bringing into our reality something that we have adopted or seen created in the collective, or observing others, individuals. For example, I want to manifest wealth, for example, or I want to manifest a nice this or that. I want to manifest a relationship. Okay? Now, depends on the focus on the manifestation. you may look at somebody with a particular relationship, or you may look at certain people and say, I want to manifest that person in my life. You're basically now, that's an existence. That is already created. That is already in existing in the collective, or within your range of your smaller collective. So now you want to bring that into your personal experience, which you can do. We've all been doing it, and we are constantly doing. That's what the manifestation is. You're actually taking samples or tidbits of what already has been created, and you're plugging it into your reality. When you're going into pure creation mode, you're now not really looking at what is already in existence. You're now going in and tapping into your consciousness and saying, what can I bring forth? You're now using imagination. You're now using your creativity that goes beyond what's already been created, experienced. That's the difference. So you want to look at it and say, okay, well, you can dance between the two, but a lot of times the manifestation is a reflection of the old world or the current system. You want to go into a new system, so you want to tap into that higher version of yourself, going into tapping to that sourceness of yourself and say, how do I create my world? So how do I create my new world, in essence? If it requires to have, say, finances, for example, it's not about manifesting the finances. You just plug it in, but at the same time, you're also looking at a bigger picture, what that actually does. It's not about compensating or changing your current reality. It's creating a new reality. So, but again, that's a transition point, because that eventually will fade away. So the difference is going outside of what is already existing versus, bringing forth what already exists. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't exist in your life, it exists in somebody else's life, or exists in some other parts of the world, or wherever it is, or other people that have been around. Okay. Hopefully that's clear.
All right. When humans functioned in this original design during the first 5,000 years from the retooling, was it in organic 3D or organic 5D?
It was organic 3D. It started off organic 3D. We were tuned to go all the way to organic 9D. Okay? So that was one of the differences with our design, is the fact we started with organic 3D, then we would go to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to organic 9D, which was the original design. The Gaia was designed to actually upgrade its frequencies and its creative abilities to support us, and the platform would, which we call Gaia, would support us, and including all the sentient beings on the planet would actually evolve with going from organic 3D, 4D, 5D, and so forth. It was only when the inverted matrix got put in that we went from organic 3D, we went into organic 5D. Now, some of us talk about 5D and stuff like that because there's a perception and idea that 5D looked a certain way, and organic 3D may be still limited, because a lot of people are talking about going from 3D to 5D, when in fact we're actually going from inverted 3D, inverted 2D, and 1D to organic 3D and 5D. So both platforms exist. It depends on where you're ready to play with. Not one's better than the other. The focus is a little bit different. One is focused more on the physical representation, but also with higher consciousness, where the other one is, it's still dealing with a physicality, but it's putting a little less focus on the physicality and more of a what we can call creator mode. So more of a source recognition. And again, since the modification occurred, now we can actually go up to 12. Now, of course, physically we can't represent 12th dimension, because when we're starting to get into the higher ranges, the physicalities actually change. We become more transparent, much more fluid, whatever it is, and we don't actually have the same rigidity. We're going into a different density at that point in time. So, but we can access consciousness as high as 12th dimension and bring it into whatever dimension we're in. So the process that we've been going through is going into organic 3D and organic 5D. Those platforms are being supported. The old stuff is just fading away. But at the same time, eventually, when we're looking into around another 14 years or so, that both will be all, it will be all organic 5D, and then an integrational period of 5 years approximately. This is how it's all scheduled and laid out at the moment that we've done. We meaning all of us, even though you may not be conscious of it, to be able to, by 2040, to be fully integrated in 5D. And of course, the world's going to look very different at that point in time, because in organic 5D, we're very, very focused into oneness, 0 point, and so forth, even though oneness is in organic 3D too.
Okay. Around 2023, we should be in an organic 3D, 5D frequency as a collective. What happens to the lower frequency humans, those who currently choose to steal, scam from others at that time? Do they just change their ways?
Well, what ends up happening, the ones that don't want to be here will disappear. So they either don't exist any longer, they'll go through the death process, and the other option is that they will actually align to the organic 3D as a starting point. So that option is available. Those are the three: is they don't exist, they go through the dying process. If that means that wherever they're interacted with will facilitate, and then go into, or choose to go into the organic 3D, where again it's not the inverted. There's no, like you said, stealing and playing those negative roles. So the polarity stuff would be less emphasized. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Okay. Can you talk a little about the energy coming in May 15th?
Okay, so until May 15th, we have a powerful process that's going on. It is to be introduced. It's in preparation to introduce the new frequency that's coming into on the 15th. The 15th will actually be a huge energetic consciousness code download of sorts. It will also stimulate a higher access point within ourselves to be able to, how can I say, access more self-awareness. And then we have integration time, which will be right till the end of May, because then we have other stuff coming in the beginning of June, because there's another transitional phase coming into the beginning of June. I think it's June 1st is one of the first, and then I think it gets more powerful about the 4th of June. So the energies coming in is really accessing more self-realization. It's a major stimulation, and it's an uplifted level of access of consciousness that's being stimulated within all of us at this point in time. How we utilize it will highly depend on us. Is it going to knock us out? It will be able to be somewhat of a shock factor because of how it may feel, for depending on how caught up you are in the system of playing the old game. It may seem like quite disorienting, but it gives you time to it. It's not there to crush you or anything of that nature. It's really to really stimulate things. The reason all of this is coming about is because we want to step up further to expedite. We still have 1.5 years or more of transitions that's going to go on. The other part of the preparation is to also, with these energies coming in, especially the 15th, but then also the 1st, and then we have some more coming in the middle of the summer in July, and then depending on where you are in the world, it could be the middle of the winter for you, but coming into July, and then we have others coming into September, October, which actually will prepare us to be able to kind of maneuver a little bit more effectively, especially the ones that are going to utilize it, to a lot of the so-called even further accentuation of craziness, and also Gaia's kind of natural movement energetically, and also what may be simulated as intensities on a physical realm per se. So there's a lot going on. Every little input that's put in and larger inputs that are put in are always pre-tested ahead of time, simulated, and then adjustments are made. So it depends on the progress we make. That's how far we push the next wave coming in. So even what we're doing now till about the middle of May, which is, is coming up. I don't even know what day today is, but 4th of it, so 10 days from now. So we still have 10 days where we're preparing before we have that, the 15th, a very powerful. And then some of the stuff is planetary alignments. It has to do with further surges that come through our sun from our planet. It's all orchestrated in a way like an orchestra. Every part is contributing. So the alignments of the planets are contributing. The pulses that are coming through the galaxy is contributing. The pulse that's coming through our sun, the pulse that's coming through our planet as Gaia. Each one is it's like a tuned instrument. All of them is coming through, and so that's what's happening in that regards. The actual details is hard to describe because there's so much of it within it.
Just for further clarification, Cosmic Energy is asking, what about the phrase that everything already happened? Does that implicate that the future is already set?
No.
Okay.
No. That's a misnomer, because if you're looking at that everything has happened, then it's not possible. Let's put it this way. It's not possible. We have a simulational, meaning a projection. For example, even when you have access to a future version of yourself, it all depends on, you're tapping into that future version of what was created from the frequencies that exist galactically, universally at this time. There has been simulations on different planets. There have been simulations on parallel Earths. There have been simulations on parallel galaxies and universes. But the thing is, we don't work that way as source, as who you are. It doesn't work that way. The way it works is that those were simulations. We got what we needed from it, but we're creating always brand new. So the future, what people call the future, is totally undetermined. There's probabilities, but those probabilities are not even possible in the full form. It will have bits and pieces, possibly, depending on how things are changing. Why do I say that? First of all, Source itself is constantly advancing. The field of creation, which is the very field of what we call the spirit of source of creation, is always upgrading. Each and every one of us, in different forms and in non-form, are advancing. Our bodies are advancing, our human entities are advancing, our multidimensional souls are advancing. The whole galaxy, the whole solar system is advancing. The whole universe is advancing. As long as there's any shifting of advancing, any other range of frequency, it is changing the potentiality of what you can create. So we have an idea of what has been created, but how it rolls out and how we apply it and what we use is completely free and open. So as much as that is said that way, I don't want to piss anybody off, but if you tune into it, you'll see that it is not quite possible to say, well, this is where we're going, and we're just going for the ride. No. We're all involved in creating the ride. We're involved in the journey.
Is there not, though, kind of an end result that we are going to achieve, but it's how we get there? Or is that different as well?
That's different. I mean? There is no end result.
Not an end, because, you know, it's always carrying on into infinity.
Yes.
But in regards to what's going on a planetary level here around
I don't like to use the word enlightenment, ascension, or whatever you want to call. There's a kind of an end goal that it is collectively agreed upon that we will get to a certain degree of
Yes.
awakenedness.
Yes.
However, how we get there is, and how long it takes, that's entirely up to us.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Even though that is upgraded, there is a mapped out level to achieve. Like even the dates I gave you, those are all mapped out as a collective saying, by this point in time, we want to be here. You're on board or not, okay? We're going to get here. Here is accessing a certain level of consciousness. How that's going to look and how we're going to shape it is still to be determined, because we're going to design it along the way, because the journey is enhancing us and making changes within ourselves. Planet Earth is around as long as it serves at this point in time of this retooling, because eventually it gets to a point where, okay, it's not serving in that way, let's retool it to provide something else. The same thing when the Atlanteans were here, it went as far as it needed to go, and then it got retooled because it couldn't go any further, because they had a shift from disconnecting from consciousness and using technologies as the main driver, where the Lemurians were more into consciousness but used very little technology. But then the experiment was created to be able to transition to more technology, less consciousness. And all of the other incarnation and all of the retoolings that have happened before that, that's been around, because planet Earth has been around for a long time, what people refer to billions. But the field has always been existent, will always exist. If we're going to say we're going to be, we've been expanding and collapsing, yes, that we're in the collapsing process. And what do I mean by collapsing? We're achieving as much as we possibly can with what we have available, and then we basically unify, and we start unifying. And then you get to a point, we don't know when that's going to be. The intent is to get to a point of furthest expression as possible, and then the spirit merges with source, the version of spirit, which is the creator version of source, merges, creates a full expansion, and then creates spirit again in that further expansion, and goes out to create again and restarts the cycle. But the cycle is at a whole different level because it uses a whole different capacity. So will we be able to replicate these physical forms? Most likely not, because at higher consciousness, these wouldn't be viable or entertainable in its achieving its goal of further expansion. And this is the thing. This is why a lot of souls wanted to be here, because what's being experienced here is not experienced on other planets within galaxies and so forth. Now, that doesn't make us extra special. It has a form of uniqueness, absolutely, but there's uniqueness on all other planets with other physicalities and so forth, and it doesn't matter if it's light or dark focused, or was light or dark focused.
Is it possible to use crystals and meditation to alter what you're capable of? I ask because I'm doing it now.
Well, yes, absolutely. Meditation is very beneficial for you to access that creative, imaginative part, because in meditation you're kind of dropping away from all the stories and reflections that you have around you, so you're tapping into more of your core essence. So that is definitely beneficial. You can do a lot of things in meditation. It's not just, the quietening of the mind is actually disconnecting from the ego's incessant projection and input, for example, of that inverted world. So when you meditate, you're quieting that part. You're tapping more of your resourcefulness. You're tapping more of your sourceness. As for the crystals, crystals are tuned to be able to hold a certain frequency. You can have, if you tune your crystals, say with sunlight or other frequencies through sound or whatever it is, then by utilizing them, it holds the space around you and supports you to go into that deeper state. You can charge your crystals when you go into those higher states, and because crystals are really good at holding the energies that you charge it with, but it also upgrades accordingly. The other thing is too, the crystals within our body, because we are from original design very crystalline based, because it carried more spectrum of light and more spectrum of information and so forth. So that's why we're getting tuned back from less, the ratios are changing from carbon to silicate to more crystal, and that's what we're going through. So yes, utilizing meditation, absolutely. If you feel guided to use crystals to hold the space for you, eventually what ends up happening is while you're accessing those higher states, you're actually charging the crystals to go even higher. So it ends up being a low point. You can't go lower than that, but you're always increasing the crystal's charge. Is it absolutely necessary? No. But it is highly beneficial for a lot of people. So I'm not saying stay away from it, but don't feel that because you don't have crystals you can't utilize it. Now, of course, you have to, make sure you tune the crystals, or else if it's tuned at a lower frequency because it's been exposed to a lot of handling of some sort, then you want to charge it as much as possible on a beautiful, strong, sunny day. And then you can also charge the crystals by, from sound and also accessing higher source essence within yourself.
Last question for today. Who sets up the programs on our planet?
Who sets up the programs on our
The programs that are running.
Like you mean the original design?
It just says who sets up the programs on our planet. So I'm going to take from that the programs that run us. All the programs that run us, how did they get set up?
Okay. So there's the two stages that happen. When planet Earth was retooled 15,000 years ago, engineers, and maybe not refer to the engineers that we refer to here on planet Earth, but a form of that, meaning higher aspects of yourself or souls that have had experiences and have learned how to tune and create software program or operating programs, came together and using multiple different programs and to see, because each planet is tuned differently, it operates in a different programming, and all of them have matrices, but each matrix is tuned by what they want to achieve as an experience on the planet. So what ends up happening is that these engineers came together, tuned, of course, created the bodies by using genetic encodements and genetic codes from various species, and the majority of all the physicalities on the planet came from a blend of 12 different species, 5 primaries, 7 secondaries. They've used what their bodies were able to experience and created what we call the human form. So the human form came about by having that particular blend. Of course, the changes within our physical form, being from culture to culture or whatever else, or the variances, were just the ratios adjusted through that. So there were souls, aspects of you, and some of you may have been involved. I know my soul wasn't directly involved when it was retooling planet Earth 15,000 years ago. Not Franco, but the soul that was involved, the multidimensional soul that is now 84 souls combined. But was directly involved with a bunch of other engineers or other advanced souls in different physical forms. They were in physical forms. And so they retooled, rewrote the operating system for planet Earth, created the matrix, which is the main operating system, the organic matrix, which tuned it from 3rd to all the way to 9, and then took seeding, meaning bringing plants and the different kingdoms, animals, birds, you name it, all the different kingdoms from different planets that hold a certain specific frequency and expression, adjusted its operating system so that it would align with here. And then when they created the physicalities also that were also seated on the planet. So that was the original design. 10,000 years ago, that's when another set of species came along on the planet that were from a fourth dimensional consciousness and used that type of technology. And then what they did is actually they couldn't remove the original organic matrix, but also created a superimposed matrix, which was the inverted matrix, where everything became backwards. They did adjust the physicalities, they adjusted the operating system at that point in time, and modified the all the sentient beings, everything's operating system on the planet, and then used the satellite, which we call the moon at this point in time, to be able to continue to project it, because the inverted matrix was not naturally integrated in, and it was not connected to all the other planets, because there's each and every matrix is communicating with all the planets within not only the solar system but the galaxy. What's retooling it now? Well, the overseers are versions of ourselves that are in souls. I know my soul is involved in it too at this point in time, but we're also doing it collectively. So collectively meaning everybody that's active on the planet right now that is taking an interest in contributing. So many of you on a super conscious level, possibly not consciously aware. Some of you are aware because you are taking certain roles, going into certain ley lines, operating, downloading things, and uploading the operating system. So the reversal process that we're going now was a collective agreement, but also working with the beautiful engineers that were originally involved in the design to kind of unravel and bring this new, the upgraded design of the original design, but in an upgraded version back on the planet. So there are souls. Certain souls are from a parallel universe, which has experienced a lot of what we're trying to achieve here, but it's not going to be always the same. It won't be the same. It will be an introduction, because every galaxy, every universe, every planet, every redesign is going to have its own level of uniqueness. Hopefully that covered it.
Yeah,
I think I went all over the place with that, but
I think that's good. So that's it for today for questions, and I have copied and pasted.
Oh, we got some questions?
Yeah, lots
cool.
of questions, of course.
All right.
Which is fine, which is good. Thanks for everybody giving us your questions. Anyways, the rest have been put on a document, and I hope not to lose it by next Tuesday. So we'll just continue where we left off, and I just do them in the order of how I receive them.
Okay, so we may have another topic. I see that there may be another topic, possibly not as long, and we'll spend a little bit more time on the questions. And thank you for the questions being in alignment with the topics, but also with what is prevalent right now. So to get that deeper understanding without going too off track, because sometimes the questions can be off track. Mm-hmm. So please share. Share, depends on where you're on. Share the videos. Share if you want to see the whole channel. We have a group in Facebook called Advancing Consciousness Series, and also Advancing Consciousness Podcast. But the series has got all this content in. But we also have it on YouTube and Vimeo. So the YouTube channel is called Advancing Consciousness Series. There's probably 130 videos on there. We'll be applying some other videos that are not the series, but are complementary to the series here and there. A lot of the interviews and things of that nature. We're behind in posting some of that stuff. But, if you're following it on Facebook, we're constantly, with every interview we do, every topic that we cover, every summit that, we usually post it, that you have access to it. So share, like Kimberly says. At the same time, if you feel to support us in this work for us, it's highly appreciated to allow us to stay focused on doing this work at this point in time. It supports us. It supports all the platforms that we're on. It supports us all the technologies and everything else that we require to do that, and it's greatly appreciated. And that link is in the description. If you want to join the community, we also have you can join the community by getting onto the community platform, which you'll receive emails. We do not bombard you with emails. I think we try to keep it one a week at this point in time. Unless something new comes in, then we'll put an extra one in here and there. But in general,
It's
we're not.
actually less than one a week, but we may be doing one a week.
Okay, so it's less than one a week. I was corrected. So we just let you know what's coming up and so forth, any potential workshops and potential interviews and things of that nature. If you'd like to get some more tools for yourself, we also have a link to take you to a page that has all the different workshops based on topics and so forth. They're all very inexpensive compared to what you get. There's 1-day stuff, there's 2-day stuff, there's 5-day stuff, there's 7-day stuff. So there's all types of things there with a lot of different processes and so forth. They're all available. The link is on that too. Besides that, have a blast, guys. Thank you for co-creating this beautiful experience. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Until then, continue having a blast. And please, please, play these videos again. It reinforces, because each time you listen to it, it expands you further. I've had so many comments around or messages from people saying that when they re-listen to it again, it helps them navigate, especially when we have a lot of the intensities that come about. So go have a blast. Thank you.